Hello friends, welcome to No Hub. We glad to see you again. Today we discuss on top amazing prison escape in the world. Number 10. Maze prison escape. In the greatest jail escape in British history, on September 25, 1983 in County Antrim, Northern Ireland, 38 Irish Republican Army, IRA, detainees, who had been sentenced to offences including homicide and causing blasts, got away from Block 7, H7, of the jail. One jail officer passed on of a heart assault because of the escape and 20 others were harmed, including 2 who were shot with weapons that had been pirated into the jail. Prison Maze was viewed as a standout amongst the most escape confirmation detainment facilities in Europe. Notwithstanding 15-foot fences, every H block was enveloped by an 18-foot solid divider finished with security fencing, and all doors on the complex were made of strong steel and electronically operated. Shortly after 2:30, the detainees took control of the H square, holding the jail monitor's prisoner at gunpoint. A portion of the detainees took the watchman attire and auto enters so as to help with their escape. At 3:25, a truck bringing sustenance supplies arrived and the detainees told the driver that he would enable them to get away. They attached his foot to the grip and revealed to him where to drive. At 3:50 the truck departed the H square, and not long after the jail, conveying every one of the 38 men. Over the following couple of days, 19 escapees were gotten. The rest of the escapees were helped by the IRA in discovering concealing spots. A portion of the gathering wound up in the USA yet was later found and removed. Because of legislative issues in Northern Ireland, none of the rest of the escapees are in effect effectively looked for and some have been given acquittals. Note the wires hung over the yard in the photo above. This is to keep helicopters from arriving because of another escape endeavour at Maze Prison. Number 9. Alfred Hines. Alfie Hines was a British criminal and person who can get out of anything, while at the same time serving a 12-year jail sentence for theft, effectively broke out of 3 high-security penitentiaries. In spite of the expulsion of 13 of his interests to higher courts, he was inevitably ready to pick up and exonerate, utilizing his insight into the British lawful framework. In the wake of being condemned to 12 years in jail for an adornments theft, Hines got away from Nottingham jail by sneaking through the bolted entryways and over a 20-foot jail divider, for which he wound up noticeably referred to in the press as Houdini Hines. After a half-year, he was found and captured. After his capture, Hines brought a claim against specialists accusing the jail officials of illicit capture and effectively utilized the occurrence as a way to design his next escape by having a latch pirated into him while at the law courts. 2 watchmen escorted him to the latrine. However, when they evacuated his cuffs, Alfie packaged the men into the workspace and snapped the lock onto screw eyes that his associates had before settled to the entryway. He got away into the group on Fleet Street yet was caught at an airplane terminal 5 hours after the fact. Hines would make his third escape from Chelmsford Prison not as much as a year later. While evading Scotland Yard, Hines kept on arguing his guiltlessness, sending notices to British MPs and allowing interviews and taped accounts to the press. He would keep on appealing his capture and, following a detail in which jail escapes are not recorded as offences inside British law, his last interest before the House of Lords in 1960 was denied following a 3-hour contention by Hines before his arrival to serve 6 years in Parkhurst Prison. Presented above is Nottingham Prison, the main jail that Hines got away from. Number 8. The Texas 7. The Texas 7 was a gathering of detainees who got away from the John Connally Unit Close, Kennedy, Texas on December 13, 2000. They were secured January 21 to 23, 2001 as an immediate after effect of the network show America's Most Wanted. On December 13, 2000, the 7 did a detailed plan and got away from the John B. Connally Unit, a most extreme security state jail close to the South Texas town of Kennedy. Utilizing a few very much arranged ploys, the 7 convicts overwhelmed and limited 9 regular citizen support directors, 4 prison guards and 3 uninvolved detainees at roughly 11:20 a.m. The escape happened amid the slowest time of the day, when there would be less reconnaissance of specific areas like the upkeep range, amid lunch and at the tally time. The greater part of these plans included one of the wrongdoers bringing somebody over, while another hit the clueless individual on the head from behind. Once the casualty was stifled, the wrongdoers would evacuate some of his attire, tie him up, choke him and place him in an electrical room behind a bolted entryway. 11 jail laborers and 3 uninvolved detainees were bound and choked. The assailants stole apparel, charge cards, and recognizable proof from their victims. The amass additionally imitated jail officers on the telephone and made false stories to avert doubt from experts. They in the long run advanced toward the jail upkeep pickup truck which they used to escape from the jail grounds. The rest of the 5 living individuals from the gathering are all waiting for capital punishment, anticipating demise by deadly infusion. Of the other 2, 1 submitted suicide and 1 has just been executed. Number 7. Alfred Wetzler. Wetzler was a Slovak Jew, and one of few Jews known to have gotten away from the Auschwitz concentration camp amid the Holocaust. Wetzler is known for the report that he and his kindred escapee, Rudolf Verba, ordered about the internal workings of the Auschwitz camp, a ground design of the camp, development points of interest of the gas loads, crematoriums and, most convincingly, a mark from a canister of Zyklon gas. The 32-page Verba-Wetzler report, as it wound up plainly known, was the principal definite report about Auschwitz to achieve the West that the Allies viewed as credible. The proof in the end prompted the bombarding of a few government structures in Hungary, executing Nazi authorities who were instrumental in the railroad expulsions of Jews to Auschwitz. The extraditions stopped, setting aside to 120,000 Hungarian Jews. Wetzler got away with a kindred Jew named Rudolf Verba. With the assistance of the camp underground, at 2 p.m. on Friday, April 7, 1944, the eve of Passover, the 2 men moved into an emptied-out concealing spot in a heap of wood that was being put away to fabricate the Mexico area for the fresh introductions. It was outside Birkenau's security fencing internal edge. However, inside an outer border, the gatekeepers kept raised amid the day. Alternate detainees put sheets around the emptied-out range to conceal the men, at that point sprinkled the region with sharp Russian tobacco-absorbed gas to trick the gatekeepers' canines. The 2 stayed secluded from everything for 4 evenings to evade recapture. On April 10, wearing Dutch suits, jackets, and boots they had taken from the camp, they advanced south, strolling parallel to the So, a waterway, heading for the Polish outskirt with Slovakia 80 miles, 133 kilometers, away, directing themselves utilizing a page from a youngster's map book that Verba had found in the distribution center. Number 6. Sławomir Rawicz. Rawicz was a Polish fighter who was captured by Soviet occupation troops after the German-Soviet intrusion of Poland. At the point when the Soviet Union and Germany assumed control Poland, Rawicz came back to Pilsk where NKVD captured him on November 19, 1939. He was taken to Moscow. He was first sent to Kharkov for cross-examination, and afterward, after a trial, he was sent to the Lubyanka jail in Moscow. He claims to have effectively opposed all endeavors to torment an admission out of him in jail. He was condemned, apparently to spy, to 25 years of hard work in a Siberian jail camp. He was transported, close by a great many others, to Irkutsk and made to stroll to Camp 303, 650 kilometers south of the Arctic Circle, to manufacture the camp starting from the earliest stage April 9, 1941. Rawicz guaranteed that he and his 6 partners got away in a center of a snow squall. They hurried toward the south, staying away from towns in fear they would be double-crossed, however clearly they were not effectively sought after. They likewise met an extra criminal, Polish lady Kristina. After 9 days they crossed the Lena River. They strolled around Lake Baikal and crossed to Mongolia. Luckily, individuals they experienced were inviting and affable. Amid the intersection of the Gobi Abandon, 2 of the gathering, Kristina and Mikowski, kicked the bucket. Others needed to eat snakes to survive. Around October 1941 they claimed to have achieved Tibet. Local people were agreeable, particularly when men said they were attempting to achieve Lhasa. They crossed the Himalayas by one means or another amidst winter. One more of the gathering passed on in his rest in the harsh elements, and one fell into a chasm and vanished. Rawitz claims the survivors achieved India around March 1942. Number 5. Escape from Alcatraz. In its 29 years of operation, there were 14 endeavors to escape from Alcatraz jail, including 34 prisoners. Formally, every escape endeavor fizzled, and most members were either murdered or rapidly recaught. In any case, the members in the 1937 and 1962 endeavors, however assumed dead, vanished without a follow, offering to ascend well-known hypotheses that they were fruitful. The most celebrated and unpredictable endeavor to escape from Alcatraz saw Frank Morris and the Anglin siblings tunnel out of their cells, move to the highest point of the cell square, slice through bars to make it to the rooftop by means of an air vent. From that point, they moved down a deplete pipe, over a steel fence, and after that to the shore, where they collected a barge-sort pontoon, and after that vanished. The trio is accepted to have suffocated in the San Francisco Bay and are authoritatively recorded as absent and assumed suffocated. Notwithstanding, they may have made it and gone to a place where individuals did not know them. Number 4. Libby prison escape. The Libby prison escape was a standout amongst the most well-known and fruitful jailbreaks amid the American Civil War. Overnight between February 9 and 10, 1864, more than 100 detained Union fighters broke out of their POW working at Libby Prison in Richmond, Virginia. Of the 109 escapees, 59 prevailing with regards to achieving Union lines, 48 were recovered, and 2 suffocated in the adjacent James River. Libby Prison enveloped a whole city hinder in Richmond. Toward the north lay Carey Street, interfacing the jail zone to whatever is left of the city. On the south side ran the James River. The jail itself stood 3 stories over the ground with a cellar uncovered on the stream side. Living conditions were greatly awful, the sustenance, some of the time lacking, by and large, was poor, and sanitation basically non-existent. Thousands passed on there. The detainees figured out how to soften up to the storm cellar region known as rodent hellfire, which was never again utilized because of rodent pervasions, and burrow a passage. Following 17 days of burrowing, they prevailing with regards to getting through to a 50-foot empty part on the eastern side of the jail, re-emerging underneath a tobacco shed inside the grounds of the close-by Kerr's warehouse. Whenever Col. climbed at long last got through to the opposite side, he told his men that the Underground Railroad to God's country was open. Officers got away from the jail in gatherings of 2 and 3 the evening of February 9, 1864. Once inside the tobacco shed, the men gathered inside the walled distribution center yard and essentially walked around the front entryway. The passage gave enough separation from the jail to stealthily subvert those jurisdictional lines and enable detainees to slip into the dim boulevards unchallenged. Number 3. Pascal Payette. There can be almost certain that this man merits a place on this rundown. He has gotten away not once, but rather twice from high-security jails in France, each time by means of the commandeered helicopter. He likewise composed the escape of 3 different detainees again with a helicopter. Payette was at first condemned to a 30-year imprisoned term for a murder submitted amid the burglary of a security van. After he initially escapes in 2001, he was caught and given 7 more years for his part in the 2003 escape. He at that point got away from Gros Jail utilizing a helicopter that was captured by 4 covered men from Conmandoleau airplane terminal. The helicopter handled sometime later at Brignoles, 38 kilometers northeast of Toulon, France on the Mediterranean drift. Payette and his associates at that point fled the scene and the pilot was discharged unharmed. Payette was recaught on September 21, 2007, in Mataró, Spain, around 18 miles upper east of Barcelona. He had experienced restorative surgery, however was as yet recognized by Spanish police. Number 2. The Great Escape. Stalag Luft III was a German Air Force prisoner of war camp during World War II that housed captured Air Force personnel. In January 1943, Roger Bushell led a plot for a major escape from the camp. The plan was to dig 3 deep tunnels, codenamed Tom, Dick, and Harry. Each of the tunnel entrances was carefully selected to ensure they were undetectable by the camp guards. In order to keep the tunnels from being detected by the perimeter microphones, they were very deep, about 9 meters 30 feet below the surface. The tunnels were very small, only 2 feet square, about 0.37 square meters, though larger chambers were dug to house the air pump, a workshop, and staging posts along each tunnel. The sandy walls of the tunnels were shored up with pieces of wood scavenged from all over the camp. As the tunnels grew longer, a number of technical innovations made the job easier and safer. One important issue was ensuring that the person digging had enough oxygen to breathe and keep his lamps lit. A pump was built to push fresh air along the ducting into the tunnels. Later, electric lighting was installed and hooked into the camp's electrical grid. The tunnelers also installed small rail car systems for moving sand more quickly, much like the systems used in gold mining operations. The rails were key to moving 130 tons of material in a 5-month period. They also reduced the time taken for tunnelers to reach the digging faces. Harry was finally ready in March 1944, but by that time the American prisoners, some of whom had worked extremely hard in all the effort to dig the tunnels, were moved to another compound. The prisoners had to wait about a week for a moonless night so that they could leave under the cover of complete darkness. Finally, on Friday, March 24, the escape attempt began. Unfortunately for the prisoners, the tunnel had come up short. It had been planned that the tunnel would reach into a nearby forest, but the first man out emerged just short of the tree line. Despite this, 76 men crawled through the tunnel to initial freedom, even though an air raid during which the camps, and the tunnels, electric lights were shut off. Finally, at 5 a.m. on March 25, the 77th man was seen emerging from the tunnel by one of the guards. Out of the 76 men, only 3 evaded capture. 50 men were killed and the rest were captured and sent back. Number 1. Colditz escape. Colditz was a standout amongst the most well-known German army captive camps for officers in World War II. The camp was situated in Colditz Castle, arranged on a precipice sitting above the town of Colditz in Saxony. There were various effective endeavors at getting away Colditz, yet one specifically is the most intriguing. In a standout amongst the most aggressive escape endeavors from Colditz, building a lightweight flyer was conjured up by 2 British pilots, Jack Best and Bill Goldfinch, who had been sent to Colditz subsequent to getting away from another POW camp. The arrangement was to develop a 2-man lightweight flyer part by part. The lightweight flyer was collected by Bill Goldfinch and Jack Best in the lower storage room over the House of Prayer and was to be propelled from the rooftop, keeping in mind the end goal to fly over the waterway Mulda, which was around 200 feet, 60 m, underneath. The officers who partook in the venture constructed a false divider, to shroud the mystery space in the loft where they gradually assembled the lightweight flyer out of stolen bits of wood. Since the Germans were usual to searching down for burrows, not up for mystery workshops, they felt somewhat safe from discovery. Many ribs must be developed, dominatingly shaped from bed braces, yet in addition from each other bit of wood, the POWs could surreptitiously get. The wing fights were developed from sections of flooring. Control wires were produced using electrical wiring in unused bits of the castle. A lightweight plane master, Lorne Welch, was made a request to audit the anxiety outlines and figurines made by Goldfinch. Despite the fact that the Colditz cock never flew, all things considered, a copy of the Colditz lightweight flyer was worked for the 2000 Channel 4 Escape from Colditz narrative and was flown effectively by John Lee on its initially endeavour at RAF Odiham with Best and Goldfinch in sad participation. While Best and Goldfinch did not escape Colditz, the camp was alleviated by the partners. Similarly, as the lightweight plane was nearing consummation, they surely had the most fascinating and imaginative technique for executing it.